Another day, another round of layoffs. I thought the worst of it was behind us, but unfortunately, it's not the case. This is going to be a short show, but this is going to be an important one because we like to share our thoughts on these types of situations. And our thoughts go out to everybody that has been affected by these recent layoffs by Microsoft. I'm sure everybody has heard the news to some degree, but Microsoft has once again gone on a layoff spree with several developers this time that they have pretty much taken under their
Recently
umbrella.
acquired
So what
under
I'll
the
do
Bethesda
is
umbrella.
we'll just show this here, and just for context, this was definitely shared by Bloomberg. Originally, they're paywalled, so we couldn't pull it up, but GameStop is reporting. GameSpot is reporting it as well, and also shared by AGN. So basically, we have 4 studios, including Arcane, Austin, and Tango GameWorks. So I don't need to show this too much because it was just more to kind of give the context of it is what people are talking about.
And where you can go if you want to get more information.
Yeah. The thing about this, I think, that had me thinking more than anything was the success of a game that was recently put out by Tango, which was Hi-Fi Rush.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about a game that was. Go ahead. Sorry.
We've talked about Hi-Fi Rush a little bit. I don't think it's a very good game. I am on record saying that I think people overhyped it because it was like the first semi-passable Xbox exclusive, and people got too caught up in the console war fanboying nonsense. So there were people on the right side that were trying really hard to tear it down and be like, "Oh, it's terrible, it's crap." There were people on the left side that were trying way too hard to like overcompensate, like, "Oh, it's the greatest game that's ever made." In my opinion, it's a 6 out of 10. It's a middle of the road. It's a solid game. It's not terrible, but it's not great. But it was successful, and it was critically acclaimed, and it had all those things going for it, and it was held up as this like tent pole for Microsoft. Like, yes, Game Pass works. Yes, the Microsoft acquisitions are good. Yes, they're making quality games again. And then to shutter that studio is fucking asinine. It's just wild to me when they're putting up I've got the numbers over here. What, 21 million or $21 billion in profit last year? $21 billion in profit last year. And you're going to tell me you're not profitable enough to keep this studio open? Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe this goes all the way back to when they were acquiring Activision Blizzard. And I was like, that's not a good fucking idea because y'all aren't making good games. You're not making good games. You're not getting a return on your investments. Game Pass, sure, is doing well, but they admitted it up front. It's a sunk cost. Like, we understand we're not going to be getting that money back right now. And to then have it turn around and be like, oops, we acquired these places and now we have to go ahead and start shuttering studios, to me is just a miserable state of affairs, man.
The biggest problem with this too is no matter how hard we try as an industry to be positive and embrace and encourage everybody that has made such a positive impact in the industry, between the developers, the musicians, the writers, everybody that's involved in the creative process, there's always these moments that we have to kind of, take that step back and say, oh, we're right back where we started. And again, it's a scenario where even outside of the game industry, the work industry as a whole, you're going to have massive layoffs year in, year out. But it just seems like this industry with video games has been heavily impacted much more than we've ever seen. There's been a moment in the past where we talked about, is it, with the pandemic, people overhiring and things like that. There's always an excuse that people want to look at to kind of point the blame. And I think at the bottom of it all, it falls under the one thing that a lot of people don't want to say. It's greed.
It is.
The money is not going to the people that are creating it. It's the people that are holding the umbrella over everybody and saying, you've made a product for me. Thank you. It's mine now. Have a nice day.
Yep.
And we do know that industry is kind of an in and out circle, meaning like you work on a game, you don't have a job, you look for another job. Like it is a rotating
Sometimes,
cycle of yeah, depending on what you're doing,
depending
but
on
in
your
some
studio, what your job
right,
is, all of that.
right, but it's more common than not, and that's kind of become a workflow that people have gotten used to. But the fact that you can't even sustain a place while you were working on something, because I'm sure out of these four developers, at least one to two of them, if not all of them, were working on something.
So Arcane Austin, I just got a thing with a change list. So they were working on the Redfall DLC 5 hours ago.
Wow.
These people went to work, started their day, and were laid off while
Insane.
actively working on DLC for this game. They released a statement. Today it was announced that Arcane Austin will close and development will not continue on Redfall. To everyone who has supported the work from our Austin studio over the years, thank you. Thank you for spending time in our worlds, making them your own. Arcane Leon will continue their focus on immersive experiences, hard at work on their upcoming project. Any Redfall players who purchased the Hero Pass as part of the Premium Bite Back Edition or Premium Bite Back upgrade will be eligible to receive the value of the upgrade. While there will be no further updates, Redfall's servers will remain online for players to enjoy. Now, listen, same deal, kind of different deal. Redfall sucked.
Yeah.
That was a horrible game. And that's a whole nother conversation to have around the acquisition and everything else. Like there's so many moving parts here. I can't just blame Microsoft. You can't just blame Arcane. But just being at work, working on upcoming DLC, and then being told, "Hey, yeah, studio's closed, you're fired." I can't imagine, man. I just can't. I can't fathom any of this, and I don't understand doing it this way. I don't understand. I mean, maybe I'm ignorant, but to me, it seems like it would be better to say, "Hey, here's a 6-month lead time. We're going to shut down this studio. Here's how we start transitioning to do that. Here are some other jobs. Start applying to other jobs here within Microsoft. Start doing X, Y, and Z things." And just, I don't know. This just seems evil. It's just evil, greedy. I don't know, man. Just very, very infuriating to me watching
Yeah.
all of this after, so many years of everyone being like, Microsoft's the good guy. They would never. They're doing it for the gamers. Phil Spencer for the gamers. He's one of us. Yeah. Do you see who was it? Who was it that reported it? Let me see. Let me pull it up. Jake Steinberg said it's wild that Phil Spencer logs more playtime than most of us, sucks at his job so much that mass firings are routine and keeps his high-paying career intact, while thousands upon thousands lose their livelihoods. He posted an article from Kotaku that Phil Spencer logged 917 hours on his Xbox across 82 games, putting him in the top 5% of all Xbox users. So, like, I understand that part of his job is playing games, I'm sure, but when there's so many people losing their jobs around this, it just seems irresponsible and disingenuous to be the guy at the top that's like, oh no, I really am the good guy, I promise. It's not enough, man. It's not enough.
It doesn't paint the right picture, and unjust perception can happen very often. There could always be a reason behind it, but again, the numbers don't add up. The experience that we're seeing doesn't add up.
Yep.
I do think that I feel Xbox and Microsoft as a whole have bit off more than they can chew, despite how big they are, and the fact that they continue to try to, or inadvertently, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, to inadvertently, create a monopoly by having as many of these the developers under their lap. But at this point, now you're just kind of cherry picking. It's like, oh well, if you're not making gangbusters, you're gonna go. You're not making it, and it's just gonna keep until they have like, maybe 5 devs after
Right.
having how many 50.
Yeah.
It's incredible when you think about. I really think they were like looking at it like, the hell were we thinking? But again, it's like what it coulda, shoulda. You have the money to support it, but at the end of the day, if you don't believe in these teams and things like that, you shouldn't have acquired them to begin with. That's
Agreed.
the biggest part here is we talk about merges, we talk about buyouts, we talk about, becoming part of the bigger machine. We talked about that in the past. But when you get put into the machine, you get ground down to nothing and you
Yep.
become just another cog in the wheel that gets replaced very easily.
Yep.
And I've said it in the past and I'll say it again. I truly believe that 2024 is going to be the year of the indie developer, the ones that are working hard and have people that are behind their products that truly believe in what they're doing versus all of these bigger companies. Like, we're always going to be, when I say fans, we're purchasing the products. We're fans of Sony, we're fans of Microsoft, we're fans of Nintendo. But when
Hmm.
it comes to the games themselves, as an artist, I appreciate more coming from an indie. But again, everything evolves, right? We all get to a point where, you start somewhere. The top of the peak is usually the bigger companies
Yep.
in any category. And unfortunately, every industry suffers the same fates. Music industry, film industry, it doesn't matter. But we're so heavily invested into the video game industry. Me being gaming age 9 years today, funny enough, um, seeing so much of the ups and downs just over the last 9 years, seeing how everything was prior to that, doing a lot of my uncredited stuff and ghostwriting in the past, it's hard to know that at one point, this was like such a beloved industry, and it's a shame. It's a fragment of what it's used to be, and I don't know if it's going to ever get better. I think it's just going to continue to get worse until people really start losing faith in what the brands have to offer.
I agree. I agree.
Oh, that was a lot, and I have been thinking about it all morning because again, it's just it's hard because we don't expect you to sit in here and listen to our opinions because at the end of the day, we were not affected by this, but we know people that were. We know people that know people that were, and at the end of the
Yep.
day, we all get affected by this because if you're a fan of any of these companies, especially, there are fans out there of Redfall. That's something to really truly consider. There are fans that support that game to this day, and they're
Yep.
going to be devastated. So we have to take that into consideration. We may not like the games, but opinions are subjective, and we're here to be transparent with that. So again, we wish the best to everybody that's been affected by this. I implore everybody, as I always do, support your indie developers, support anybody that puts time into a craft that you're passionate about. That's the best way I can say. And if you can help them directly, whether it's via a pledging of a game that they're launching on their own or whatever they're offering, merchandise, help them. It goes to them, and a lot of times they're going to invest it right back in the product to give you something better. And I tell
Hmm.
you that from experience. So that's the last thing I'm going to keep it with. Again, if we get more news, we'll definitely talk about that in the near future. But Tyler, do you have anything else?
No, no, I've been bouncing back and forth. I'm looking at devs on Twitter over here, and I'm in a Discord server with a few developers that I've been looking on the right hand side and kind of getting. That's where I've been getting some of this stuff from as we go, and just everyone's just broken. Even people that still have their jobs, people at good studios, they're like, we were disposable. We feel no job security. We feel no love from the industry. We do not feel valued. We are cogs in a machine that are used, ground down to dust, and then abandoned and left. And this is just, it's not tenable. There's no future in this. None.
Yeah. So we'll leave you with that. Again, this wasn't meant to be a bubbly episode. This is real. This is important, and we wanted to make sure we shared our impact on that. And again, we wish everyone well. And if we come across any ways we can help those developers, we'll be sure to add links into our video. Thank you all. Hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Take care. Have fun, everybody.
See you guys.